What if the reason you feel lost is because you've forgotten your original home? Not the house you grew up in, not the city you live in now, but the one that existed before the noise, before the rush, before the world told you who to be. What if the whispers of the forest, the hush of the ocean, the stillness of the stars were not just background sounds of life, but messages? What if nature wasn't just scenery, but the mirror that remembers your soul? There's a reason you feel peace near water. There's a reason silence under the trees feels sacred. There's a reason the world feels wrong when you spend too long in screens, in traffic, in buildings that block the sky. And that reason is that nature remembers you, even when you forget yourself. In this video, we're going to explore something ancient, something that has been buried beneath concrete, notifications, and survival. The truth that nature is not just out there, it is you. It is where your spirit was shaped and where it longs to return, not in death, in awareness. Because the farther you drift from nature, the more you forget who you are. And when you return to her, even for a moment, something inside begins to awaken. So if you've been feeling empty, anxious, disconnected, this message is for you. Let's begin. Part 1. The silence that speaks. Have you ever stood alone in a forest and felt like something was watching you? Not in a fearful way, but in a way that made you feel seen, as if the trees knew your name, as if the air itself was holding you. This isn't imagination. This isn't fantasy. This is memory. Because your body, your nervous system, your very breath, were not designed for screens and cement. They were born from the soil, programmed by the sun, calibrated by the rhythm of rain. You are not separate from nature. You are nature. And the silence you feel in wild places isn't empty. It's full of ancient knowing, full of answers you stopped hearing, full of the truth you forgot while trying to survive. Part 2. The lie of separation. Modern life teaches one lie over and over, that you are separate from each other, from the world, from source. But go sit by a river long enough, and the lie begins to unravel. You start to notice things you never saw, the way the leaves shimmer as if in quiet conversation, the way birds seem to appear at just the right moment, the way your breathing slows until it matches the wind. It's not a coincidence. Nature isn't random. It's a frequency. And when you tune into it, you remember, you were never meant to rush. You were never meant to perform. You were meant to be. And in that being, everything returns. Clarity, calm, courage, connection. Part 3. The body remembers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked barefoot on warm grass and felt something melt inside you, or watched the sunset paint the sky and forgot for a moment what you were worrying about? That feeling, that softening, is your nervous system returning home, not just emotionally, biologically. Because when you touch the earth, something ancient activates in your cells. The static of the world begins to clear, and suddenly, you're not just grounded, you're plugged back in. Modern science now calls this earthing or grounding. But the mystics have always known. The earth heals, not metaphorically, literally. It calms your inflammation. It regulates your heartbeat. It rebalances your energy. Because nature doesn't just remember who you are, it remembers how to restore you. And when your body feels safe again, your mind begins to open. Your intuition begins to speak. Your soul begins to rise. Part 4. Nature as mirror. What if the forest wasn't just a place? What if it was a teacher, a temple, a mirror? When you walk into a forest, without a phone, without a plan, and just be, something strange happens. Your thoughts begin to quiet. Your breath deepens. And then, the trees begin to talk. Not with words, but with energy, with symbolism, with presence. They teach you about patience. By standing still for centuries, they teach you about letting go. As leaves fall without fear, they teach you about strength, not by shouting, but by rooting. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't seek attention. They just are, unapologetically, and they invite you to do the same. Because when you watch nature long enough, you begin to see your own reflection, not the mask you wear for the world, but your essence, quiet, strong, alive. Part 5. The voice beneath the noise. So much of our inner suffering comes from the noise we're drowning in, the notifications, the deadlines, the opinions, the fear. But have you ever noticed what happens when you stand beside the ocean? The waves don't care who you pretend to be. They don't care what car you drive or what your past looks like. They just remind you, you are part of something vast. And that realization? It silences the ego. Not by force, but by making it irrelevant. Because in the presence of the infinite, you don't need to be enough. You already are. Nature strips away what is false, and what's left is truth. And in that space, for the first time in a long time, you can finally hear it. The voice that was always yours. Quiet, clear, real. Part 6. The Forgotten Temple. In ancient times, humans didn't go into nature. They were never separate from it. The earth was their temple, the sky, their scripture, the rivers, their prayers. They walked in rhythm with the seasons. They planted by moonlight. They listened to the wind as a messenger. But somewhere along the way, we traded that wisdom for convenience. We paved over the sacred. We drowned the whispers of the forest in engines and algorithms. And now, we wonder why we feel so anxious, so lost, so thirsty for something we can't name. But the temple was never destroyed. It's still there, waiting, covered in moss, hidden in mist, alive in every forest trail and midnight breeze. All it takes is a return. Part 7. Your spirit is elemental. Let me offer you a new way to see yourself. Not as a personality, not as a role, but as an element of the cosmos. Your soul is not a machine. It's a force. Your body, earth, your breath, air, your blood, water, your spark, fire, and your awareness, that's the ether that holds it all. So when you feel drawn to the sea, when you crave the smell of rain, when you need to lie under the stars, you're not being dramatic. You're being called back to your source. Because your healing, your clarity, your next step may not come from another book, another podcast, another scroll. It may come from watching the way a river carves through stone, or the way the sky doesn't rush, even when the world panics, or the way a single tree can survive a storm by swaying, not resisting. Nature doesn't just teach, it transmits, and if you let it, it will recalibrate your entire frequency. Part 8. The Sacred Solitude. Some people fear being alone, but chosen ones often crave it, because they've felt what happens in solitude. In true, sacred solitude, when it's just you and wind and sky, when your phone is off, your mind begins to soften, your senses heighten. You notice things you never noticed, the rhythm of your footsteps, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the way the earth seems to breathe with you, and then a shift. You stop seeking answers, and you start feeling them, not in language, but in resonance, in knowing. This is where the soul speaks, and in that space, you remember you are not lost, you are not late, you are simply remembering at your own pace. Part 9. You are not alone. If you've ever cried in the forest without knowing why, if you've ever talked to the moon and felt heard, if you've ever thanked a river and felt it respond, then hear this. You are not crazy. You are connected. Nature is not inanimate. It's not a backdrop. It's alive, conscious, listening. And when you open yourself to it, truly open, it begins to speak back, through signs, through dreams, through the synchronicities that follow you like stars. You may even begin to feel watched over, protected, and maybe you've always been, because the forest remembers you, the wind knows your scent, the earth has felt your feet before. You are not a stranger here, you are family, you are home. Part 10. If you feel this way, you're awakening. Have you ever felt like you don't belong in this world? Like the pace of it all, the noise, the rush, the masks, feels alien to you? Like you're homesick for a place you can't name? That's not weakness. That's not brokenness. That is the pull of remembrance. A soul that has touched the wild can never be fully content in captivity. And the truth is, you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to awaken. And nature, in her infinite stillness, is the gentle alarm clock. She doesn't shake you awake. She whispers. And if you're hearing those whispers, the ache to reconnect, to simplify, to feel again, then you're not alone. You're awakening, and millions of others around the world are waking up too. Not to trends, not to ideologies, but to truth, to earth, to spirit, to self. Part 11. Your practice begins here. So what now? What do you do with this feeling? You begin, not with a retreat, not with a big ceremony, but with a small sacred practice. Step outside, place your hand on a tree, close your eyes, and breathe. Breathe until the noise fades, until you feel the ground beneath you, until you feel held, not by thought but by life itself. Let this become your temple, a few minutes a day, even just 5. Let nature become your therapist, your friend, your mirror. Speak to her. Yes, out loud. Thank her. Ask her what she wants to show you. And listen. Listen not with your ears, but with your heart. Part 12. A simple affirmation. Here's a simple phrase you can whisper in these moments. I remember who I am. I remember where I come from. I remember that I am one with all things. Let these words vibrate through your body. Repeat them while walking under trees, or standing in the rain, or watching the sky turn orange at dusk. Let them become a mantra, not of escape, but of return. Because that's what this journey is about. Not becoming someone new, but shedding what was never you, and returning to the self that was always there, wild, sacred, free. Part 13. This is not the end, it's the remembering. If something inside you feels lighter now, quieter, clearer, it's not because I gave you something new, it's because you've touched something ancient. You didn't learn anything today, you remembered. You remembered the sacredness of trees, the language of wind, the presence that lives in stillness. And most of all, you remembered yourself, not the version you show the world, but the one that walks barefoot in dreams, the one that knows things without words, the one that was here before the world told you who to be. You are not separate from nature. You are a child of stars and soil, of thunder and tenderness, of wildness and wisdom. And when you let nature in, truly let her touch your heart, you don't just heal, you transform. From seeker to soul, from wanderer to witness, from lost to luminous. Part 14, the invitation. So here is your invitation. When the world feels too heavy, when the noise gets too loud, when you forget what matters, return to the forest, return to the sea, return to the sky, even if only for a few minutes. Sit, breathe, listen. Let the earth remind you that you are held, that you are part of a rhythm older than fear, that you belong, not because you earned it, but because you are. And if this message touched something in you, please don't keep it to yourself. There are others, just like you, who are waking up, who are remembering, who need these words like water, so send it to them, speak it out loud, plant it like a seed, and may it grow. Part 15. Until we meet again. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for letting your soul breathe for a little while. And if you ever forget again, that's okay. Just go outside, look up, touch the earth, and whisper to yourself, I remember who I am. If this message stirred something inside you, like this video, subscribe if you feel the call, and share it with a soul who might need to hear it. Until next time. May your steps be slow, your heart be open, and your spirit stay guided by the light of the wild. You are not lost. You are coming home.